Marc Micu. Welcome to Unfolding.
Zach Arnold from Unfolding. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. I want to start this off with a question, and then we'll just see where it unfolds. I don't have any notes or plans for the episode or anything.
Yeah, rock on.
Yeah, it's just going to go where it goes.
Fire.
So, the number one thing holding people back in life, the number one fear, is the fear of being perceived. And wherever your fear is where your next task is. That's a quote from Michael Smoke. How does that land with you?
I'm a musician here in Victoria. I'm originally from Surrey and Vancouver in the mainland. I'm also a music educator in SC61. I'm a teacher on call. I'm a TOC. And I've met a lot of students that have a fear of being perceived as well.
Can you elaborate on what the fear of being perceived means to you? Just so
Yeah, for sure.
Your question.
I think it's this underlying fear that if people see you and see your true authentic self, they won't accept it. They'll reject it. And it's a fear of authenticity because maybe you've been hurt in the past, or you've had an experience where you open up or you show a part of yourself and it gets used against you. And then you learn from that experience is that you should close yourself off.
Oh man, dude, there's nothing like noticing that but in schools, man. So I noticed something like elementary students, for example, they don't care about what I've definitely TOC'd a couple of elementary schools in my time and I'm usually a high school sub or a middle school sub, but elementary is not it's not something I'm usually comfortable with teaching, but I'll sometimes do it.
Yeah, I hear that from a lot of teachers.
Yeah, but elementary kids, they don't care about because I don't know if it's something, I'm not a scientist. Like, I don't know if it has something to do with their prefrontal cortex or their frontal lobe or whatever, but they don't care about how other people perceive them. And then once you get to middle school, they start caring a little bit. And then by the time high school comes out, they care a lot.
Yeah.
There's a huge insecurity that comes out. And it's kind of sad, really. Even in music, where in a class where you're supposed to express yourself. That's kind of the whole thing of it. That's the whole process in music. But you see some kids, when they're asked to play forte or they're asked to play piano, they usually sit on a mezzo piano or a mezzo forte. And for the non-music people watching, that just basically means that it's like moderately soft or moderately loud. It's not truly loud, truly soft.
Yeah.
And for some reason, students are scared to show that. And I don't know why that is. In elementary, if you ask the kid to play loud, they will play ear-piercingly loud. And personally, I'm like, okay, can we knock it back 5% back, please? My ears are bleeding.
Yeah.
But high schoolers, so let me give you an example real quick. So I've had a lot of cases where I go into schools and I teach like jazz band. Let's say jazz band, for example, and there's always the one tenor two soloist, tenor saxophone soloist that plays way too quiet, and then the backgrounds are way too loud, and the soloist, there's you can't hear the soloist. So I always tell the soloist, I'm like, hey, I want you to try and play with the nastiest volume, the dirtiest volume, the most volatile volume, as much as you can. They're like, oh, okay. And then they play, and whatever volume they play, they're dynamic. For some reason, it's perfect. Because the limit in which the limit in which they think loud is to them, it shrunk. It shrunk in from elementary to then, and I don't know what that is. I think it's because it's a matter of they've been judged more, or something along the lines. But once you give students once you open up their limitations a little bit and be like, hey, something I like to tell my students is, hey, I promise I'll tell you if it's too loud. Some people take it as a super harsh feedback. Oh, I'm playing too loud, or oh, I'm playing too quiet. But no, it's okay. I'll let you know. But you're not gonna go to jail or nothing. It's fine. I want you to try your best. I want you to play loud. I want you to try your best. That's the biggest thing. And something I always tell students, and it's a quote I took from my good friend Aaron Kruger. And the quote is, if you're going to fail, fail spectacularly. And that is a quote that I stand by a lot. A lot of students fail unspectacularly. And I think, to be honest, that's a detriment to their learning. That's a bad kind of failure.
Yeah.
The best kind of failure is the one where you can tell failing into learning. And that's something I stand by.
Yeah, I think this limiting the range of what you think is possible is a big key piece of this. Like for the music students example, it's about the volume and it's what they think loud can be. But if you look at the best musicians like John Coltrane or Miles Davis, they can play the quietest of quiets and the loudest of louds. They have this expansive range that they can tap into because it's the full breadth of their expression, right? The best musicians know themselves and their abilities so deeply that they can tap into every little corner of where their expression can leak through in their playing. And sometimes it's going to be playing so softly that it's a whisper, and sometimes it's going to be so loud that it sounds like a screech, but it depends on the context of the piece and what the story of the music is trying to be told, right? And I think the exact same thing plays out with people in themselves when they're talking about their emotions or their own capabilities, and they sit in this gray area where they never get super happy, they never get super pissed at anything, they never fully express themselves and let their true authentic selves be shown, but they're also not so closed off where they're like, not talking to anyone, and they just sit in this weird sort of beige area where they're sort of just rolling through life and not taking too many chances, not taking too many risks, and sort of living a dull existence, to be honest, and sort of quietly killing their own potential, which I find to be one of the most saddening things to see someone go through, is hindering their own potential to some degree, but also just not believing in themselves enough to take the chance on themselves and leaning into the fears and leaning into the negative emotions within yourself, because it's truly difficult and it doesn't feel great when you do those things. But leaning into those is what expands the range on both ends. Like emotions aren't felt whether they're like on or off. It's not a switch. Emotions are a spectrum. And if you try to avoid the negative emotions, you're also going to limit that top end of the spectrum. You can't feel joy if you never feel sad. You can't feel happiness and peace if you never feel frustrated or anxious.
It's all about like, I hate to keep using music as a metaphor, but I will.
No, go on, yeah.
Some kids, if you see something that says like mezzo forte, crescendoing, and if you don't know what crescendoing means like making it gradually louder. Some people will read, so mezzo forte, moderately loud, to fortissimo, which means really loud, with a crescendo in between. But mezzo forte, some kids are already pretty loud.
But sometimes you have to think that dynamics are relative. Volume is relative. So mezzo forte could actually be way quieter than what you think it really is. And I don't know why I brought this up, but I guess it's just imagining like contrasts, like seeing it happen. Can you help me, like, just English second language? I don't know.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, I couldn't tell, so I guess contrast would tie into, like, for your own emotions, it's like the contrast between the highest highs and the lowest lows.
That's right. That's what, yeah.
And where you think that set point is for yourself.
Yeah. So also as a music educator, it's always good to show that, like, contrast in music and kind of applying them to life as well. And I'm like, guys, if you want to be loud, like, you have to be soft first and then be loud. You know what I mean? Anyway, I digress.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the contrast creates the significance of the moment.
Sure.
Right. Being happy and peaceful means nothing if you're never sad or never angry.
Yeah.
If you never experience any sort of negative emotion, then your positive emotions don't really mean anything because there's nothing to compare them against.
Yeah. So a big example right now is the fact that we're outside right now, and this was purely my request.
Yeah.
Because I actually have really bad social anxiety. There was a time where, well, it's still kind of, I'm still kind of in it, but like there would be a time where I would hate going to grocery stores. And if I run into someone I know, like I would talk to them. I would say like, hey, it's good to see you. Hey, how you been? Hey, what's any projects coming out? Oh, it's good to see you. All right. Have a good day. And then I would leave the grocery store right after. I don't care if I bought one thing or 10 things. I would leave immediately because I hate running into the same people in the same like close amount of space. That's why I'm really bad at parties. I can't do parties very well. I can't really do like conference. Oh my goodness. Put me in a conference, dude. It's awful. I'm like, hey, it's so nice to meet you. What do you do for work? Oh yeah, you do that for work. Oh, I do this for work. Hey, it's so nice to meet you. And then you circulate and then you run into them again. And then you have to do this thing where you're like, I hate it. So the reason why I requested to go outside is because as a performer, as a musician, I actually have no problem with being in public and performing outside. I busk every single week, maybe 2 times a week. But for some reason, just having a conversation or just being like in the moment, in public is so hard for me. It's so hard to just be me, just going to the grocery store, buying my tater tots, and then going out. Like for some reason, it's hard. So I guess, going back to our topic on like fear being perceived and fear of like authenticity, I'm trying to break that fear every single in small steps. And I feel like this is one of those ways that I could kind of get through it. So that's why we're doing it outside. That's why we're not doing a studio. Also, it's a beautiful day here at where is this?
Clover Point.
Clover Point. I was gonna say Cedar Point. That's not funny.
Clover Point here by Dallas Road in Victoria, BC. It's really nice. There's parasailing.
It's very nice. But there's also people right over there where I'm looking at right now. And my biggest fear, and it's a fear that I'm breaking off bit by bit, is where those people are looking at me and they think I'm a total like loser for holding a microphone and having a phone. Which, by the way, you can't see this, but we're using my phone on a tripod right now, and it has masking tape around it right now.
Oh yeah,
because
high level production here at Unfolding.
I like it personally. I mean, if it works, it works, right? But
in the process of sealing the deal on some cameras, but yeah.
But like, I always have a fear of how people think of me, and the more I teach, thankfully, the more I start letting that go because I act the way I act. I'm usually I'm pretty reserved right now, but I think Zach knows that I could be a little quirky. And when I teach in front of kids, I am quirky and I start not caring anymore because I guess it also comes with experience. It also comes with pushing, right? I push myself and I also push my students to be quirky. A lot of students, again, they're very closed off, but it's my job as an educator to push them into people that they could be, people that they could potentially be, right?
Yeah.
And I think pushing is so important. It's such an important thing to do, either as like pushing ourselves or pushing others. That's how we grow as people.
Yeah, I want to push back on that a little bit, ironically.
Sure.
I do think pushing is important. Striving to work on yourself, seeing the parts of yourself that you want to change for the better, right? And like working on improving those things, working on the fears and your own self-limitations. It's just, for me, the path that I've been on is that pushing can get to a point where it's detrimental, and trying to optimize things and trying to constantly improve and constantly make yourself better, even from a place of like, oh, I want to realize my potential, right? This is for me. This is for my highest, truest self. That's a very aspirational goal, but it's very easy to get wrapped up in the pushing yourself and lose sight of accepting where you're currently at and forgiving yourself for when you mess up or when you have a moment of anxiety or when, you feel like you don't want to be around people and you're like, why do I feel this way? And then you start beating yourself up about it. I don't think I've had social anxiety to the degree you have, but I have had moments for sure, especially in like dating and romantic stuff where I was super insecure. I had tons of trouble even like talking to a girl that I was interested in. And for me, like, yes, there's an element of pushing yourself out of your comfort zone for growth. And I do think that's very important. But a massive unlock that I went through recently was realizing that any emotion I feel is a signal trying to teach me something, and it's totally valid to feel that way in the moment. And trying to force myself to not feel that way usually ends up actually worsening that feeling. So like when I'm anxious and I'm like, oh, why am I anxious? I want to stop being anxious. How do I like get rid of this anxiety? That usually ends up making it worse. And what I have sort of realized that I want to step into more is letting myself be frustrated, letting myself be anxious, letting myself be sad when those emotions come up, because it's a valid part of myself. And welcoming those negative emotions, as I was talking about, gives you the full range of your expression that you can tap into in different moments of your life. And it's really difficult. That's the hard part, is that like leaning into that anxiety, leaning into the darkness is extremely hard. But through the other side, for me, I found comes clarity and deeper understanding. Leaning into my anxiety, leaning into that feeling of insecurity and insufficiency, sitting with those emotions lets me tie it back to a point in my childhood or a point in my past where I'm like, hey, I think this is where that was stemming from. And this is just an old pattern that's trying to keep me safe and trying to find certainty in an uncertain situation. And I can act in an uncertain situation and still be okay. I can act with anxiety and still do the things I was setting out to do. And I don't need to let that control me, but I can also let it be a part of me without it taking over my life. And I find that balance very tricky, and it's meant to be tricky, I think. But I think pushing yourself is definitely important. I think the balance is just knowing when to push and knowing when to accept and welcome, because shame can only live in the darkness. That's a quote that I've heard recently that I love, is that when you bring the shame to light, it evaporates. And it's, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, when I say pushing yourself, I also mean that you can also push yourself to take in emotions also. I think pushing comes in very many definitions.
Yeah.
For me, pushing myself is actually getting out of anxiety, right? But for you, pushing can be different, like how you were saying, and both types of pushing are totally valid. I also think not only pushing yourself, but being thankful of how far you've come as a person is also very important. For example, going back to my experience as an educator, I always make it a point in the lesson that, okay, after we run a piece, I tell them like, okay, guys, I'm going to tell you some compliments. And after I say compliments, you're going to say thank you. Okay. And I'm like, okay, guys, your articulation on measure 14 was really good. And I do that. I gesture like that. And that's your cue to say thank you. And I'm like, okay, your dynamics at measure 32, it says piano and you guys play piano. That was really awesome. Thank you. And then the reason why I do that is because kids, especially in high school and middle school, or even elementary school, now I think about it, they have a fear of taking in compliments. Whenever you finish a piece and you ask them, hey, how did that go? They go straight to negative. Straight to negative. Straight to negative. And then they're like, oh, our dynamics could have been better. Or, oh, our rhythm. Oh, no, we fell apart. Oh, we were out of time. Guys, take a moment to just like
celebrate the win.
Did.
Yeah.
Just like something that you did for like at least once. And I tell them like, guys, I'm going to ask you that question again. This time you're going to tell me what went well. Don't even tell me don't even try to backhand or nothing. And then once they do that, I'm like, once they're like, oh yeah, so like the saxes did well, or the trumpet solo sounded good. And then I tell them after like, okay guys, how do you feel? And all of them are like, good. And I'm like, hey guys, you know where your heart is, right? And I'm like, yeah, his heart's right here. It's like, does it feel kind of warm and fuzzy over here? Doesn't it feel kind of good? And they're like, yeah. I mean, they're still like, oh, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's good to teach students. And I'm sorry I kind of derailed the original topic a little bit, but it's good to teach students to accept compliments. Students don't do it enough. And I think
most people don't do it enough.
Most people. I don't do it enough. You know, I should take a page out of my own book, man. Like whenever someone gives me a compliment, I try to say thank you nowadays. I think the biggest thing you can say is thank you. You know, I remember a time when people would say like, "Oh man, your trumpet solo was so good here," and the first response I would say is, "Nah, no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't."
Yeah.
And like when you say that, what does the complimenter? How do you think the complimenter feels? It's like they probably feel two things. One, they probably feel like, oh, I might be wrong then. I was probably hearing wrong. Or two, they probably feel hurt because like it's like you took the time to go out of your way to compliment them, and you're shooting it down, you know. So I think the least we can do as people is whenever we get a compliment, we say thank you, and I think that's an important thing that I've learned as a musician and as an educator as well, and that's something I want to expel on a lot of students everywhere.
I think this ties into a really cool piece from my mentor, Chris Griffin, actually. And something he talks about on his podcast all the time is the difference between confidence and ego that a lot of people can get confused around.
Yeah.
Ego is saying, I need you to validate me so I can feel good about myself. And confidence is, I know I'm good. Whatever you say, either way, I know I'm good. And that's the difference that I think plays into it here is a lot of people can't accept a compliment because they don't feel truly confident with themselves. And they don't have that esteem and that self-assured knowledge that like, yeah, I am good at things. Like I can be proud of certain things without being, an arrogant asshole. Like I can enjoy the wins and I can like see parts of myself that I've worked on and be like, yeah, like I am good at that. Most people can't get to that place because I think they're wrapped up in seeking validation from the outside world. And so the funny paradox of it is that they want the compliments so they can feel good about themselves. But when they do get them, they can't believe it because they don't have that internal confidence of truly knowing it as a fact.
Wow, yeah. That's a good point. That's a good point. Sorry, I'm just saying that's a good point.
Yeah, just listening to it. Yeah, I mean, it's really difficult to see because like you can't, like if someone doesn't take the complimenting them again and like, no, dude, like you really are good at this. Like they're just not going to believe it because that confidence has to come internally. That has to be developed through, like people call it quote unquote the work. I would say that's a combination of like accepting yourself, welcoming yourself, and developing a deeper awareness with like knowing yourself. Because I think most people don't truly know themselves to a deep enough level, and they're so wrapped up in distractions of the outside world or avoiding their own negative emotions that their mind is sort of cloudy. And this is one of the biggest unlocks that meditation and journaling have done for me is like developing this self-awareness and this mindfulness gap. I think is like a really great way to think about it because it's like thoughts and emotions and stuff and things that pop up in your mind are kind of like a river that just flows by all the time. And most people feel like they're inside the river and the water is just like splashing over them constantly and they can't tell like what's theirs and what's true and what's what. But when you chip away at that slowly through mindfulness and meditation and journaling, you develop a bit of this detachment from those thoughts and emotions. And you realize that like a lot of them are just going to come and go. You can choose to believe them or you can choose to analyze them for where they're coming from, what they're trying to show you, or if they're even useful to you or not. And finding the difference between what's a thought and what's a feeling, I think is truly important because the feelings are all true. And they're trying to show you something, whether it's a fear or something that you're avoiding, that you're trying to run from, or a signal, like if you're feeling a positive emotion, like, hey, lean into this more. That's usually what the like emotions are trying to tell you. But thoughts have like this sort of separate category because thoughts just like, we don't know really where they come from, but sometimes they're useful and sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're a fear disguised as like a judgment in your own head or like an idea. But thoughts and emotions, like if you try to get rid of emotions, they usually get worse. But if you analyze the thought for what it is and go, hey, is this thought useful? No, it's not. And I don't really need it. You can just let it go away and it will. And having that mindfulness gap where something arises in your head and your first most people, something arises in their head and they just immediately think it or act on it or believe it. But that mindfulness gap allows you to see those things in your mind and go, hey, where's this coming from? Like, is this useful to me? Is this telling me something? Do I need to believe it? And that's, I think, a big piece that a lot of people don't have access to nowadays because they're so, like, mindfulness is a superpower because distraction and avoidance are everywhere. It's so easy to just numb your negative thoughts and feelings with scrolling on social media or playing video games or watching YouTube or, you know, watching porn even. Like, all these different things that can just numb you of the negative experience. You know, it's like a mild sedation, basically. And in an age where that is so ubiquitous and like everyone is so wrapped up in all of these distractions, having that ability to not believe every single thing that pops into your head is a massive unlock. And it's really tricky to get this message across to people because they'll just roll their eyes and be like, yeah, whatever, dude. You're just some other like meditation guru trying to sell me on your secret sauce. But it's like, no, I'm not a guru. I'm not trying to sell you a course. Like, I'm trying to like go sit in some silence, go on a walk without headphones and like tell me you don't feel better afterwards. Like, seriously, meditate for 10 minutes before bed and tell me you don't feel super relaxed and ready to fall asleep. Like, read a book without listening to a podcast at the same time, or like do the dishes with your thoughts, just you and your thoughts, and like see what comes up. Because the best ideas I've ever had have been in the shower, on a walk, doing something mindless where I'm not distracting myself and that idea just bubbles up. And then I'm like, oh, hell yeah. And I get a notepad and like write it down. And those ideas are the ones that are the best.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's also a lot of comparison too, right? Like, we don't want to.
Yeah.
We always have a fear of who we are because we compare ourselves to others, you know, and that's why we also. I want to go back to that whole like ego and confidence thing. That's actually very interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know.
I can repeat it for you if you want.
I don't know if I have anything transformative to say about it yet. I think I did, but
well, how does it connect to you? Like, what came up when you think about the difference and how people get those two confused?
Well,
like in your students, for example, do you see their issue with taking compliments as a piece of ego because they're scared of seeing, like, if they take the compliment, then maybe the fear is people will think I'm an arrogant prick.
Yes, 100%. That's a huge thing that occurs. But like, sometimes that's why I teach the kids, like, sometimes guys just take the compliment. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah, man, like in high school, like, it's like, whenever I want you to do this next time you go into a high school, this actually might sound kind of weird. Next time you go to high school and you see someone like play music, say something that they did well. And I want you to watch their reaction.
Like a genuine thing. Don't just make some shit up. Yeah.
Be genuine. I want you to watch their reaction. You're going to see the same. You're going to see this exactly. And you're going to be like, you're going to see this.
The quiet smile, teethless smile nod. Yeah.
Oh, dude, some of them don't even smile. Don't even open their mouth. If anything, I'm kind of over exaggerating what they do. They're stone cold Steve Austin, man. Like, it's. So I'm trying to teach that, but also like I'm scared that to some kids, whenever I teach that like thank you thing, every time I compliment them or even like give them like constructive feedback, they'll say thank you. And I'm like, okay, guys, you're either being silly or you're turning that confidence into ego. Right? Like,
or you're just trying to brush it off because you're like, oh, Mark wants me to say thank you, so I'll just say it and then he'll stop bugging me about it.
Yeah. So I also always teach honesty. I always teach the fact that, guys, I'm going to be honest. Okay. If something sucks, I'll tell you. But if something is really good, I'll tell you also. Like, some kids go through life with neither one or the other. You know what I mean? Like, and I think there's a connection between honesty and confidence. And I want to know your thoughts on it.
Oh, absolutely. The more honest you are, the more you can trust your own word. Like when you tell yourself, oh, I'm going to get up at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, and you set an alarm and then you hit snooze 3 times and you sleep until 8:30. That is a lie that you've told yourself, and that chips away at your own confidence because you know if I tell myself I'm going to do something, I probably won't do it, or I might do it and I might not. You can't trust your own word. If people can't trust your no, then they won't be able to trust your yes. So
Interesting. Wow. Yeah.
if,
The show.
yeah, like for your example with the music students, if you just told them they were doing good every single time, even when they knew they had played absolutely horrible, they wouldn't be able to trust your compliments because they would know that you're just lying to them,
100%.
trying to make them feel good. Whereas if you point out, you're like, dude, that sucked, but we can work on it, guys.
Oh man,
then the compliments mean so much more, right? It's that contrast.
It's a contrast, man. 100%.
Because that polarity is what creates the authentic honesty. Like, that's how you can tell that it's true. Because if you just try to be nice to everybody all the time, this is like a difference between niceness and kindness that I've heard about from Jefferson Fisher.
Yeah.
He says niceness is about trying to make people feel good no matter what. Kindness is about telling them what is truly best for them, and it usually lines up with honesty. Niceness is saying, you go see a friend's show, and most of it was pretty good, but there was a few moments where like they just really stunk, or they maybe weren't on their game, or like they faltered over the notes they were playing or something. And after the show, they're like, hey, what did you think? And you're just like, oh, dude, it was great. I loved seeing you play tonight. A piece of them will know that it's not true because they know they didn't play their best. The key with it is to not just be a jerk about it and be like, dude, it was pretty good, but like you kind of sucked. That's going to hurt them because they're at the high, right? They just finished their performance. They're feeling like, they have that rush, whether they felt like they did pretty good or not. That's going to defeat them. The approach you want to make with it is to be like, tell something that's true and kind. And then if they truly ask for your honest opinion, maybe at a later date, you can expand on it. But like, instead of saying, oh, dude, you were great. It's like, I loved seeing you come out to play. I loved seeing you play tonight. You were really expressing yourself on stage. Like, give an honest compliment. And then maybe the next day, if they're like, hey, what'd you really think about it? I wasn't feeling like too great about it. You'd be like, yeah, dude, like you played good in some parts, but like that one solo, like I think he really faltered, and like you might want to work on, this scale in that song or whatever. And they're like, thanks, dude. I really appreciate it. Like, honesty and kindness sort of work together in this way, where like niceness is just about being polite and like thinking that if I just tell people nice things they want to hear, then they'll like me. But that can easily turn into lying, and that's not helpful. Kindness is about telling people honest truths in a graceful way so that they don't feel totally beaten up by it, but they still appreciate your honesty and know that you're coming from a place of truth.
Compliment sandwich.
That's a method, but the thing with, it can work, but the thing with that is like people can sniff it nowadays usually. They know that you're just like, so unless it's done very authentically and it's like a real compliment, a real criticism, and a real compliment, it can work, but people still know, oh, you're just compliment sandwiching me.
Well, the more organic the ingredients are, the better the sandwiches. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so for sure.
You could definitely you can give them a McDouble, but they'll probably prefer like a nice little gourmet, little handmade burger. You know what I mean? What I'm trying to say is, of course, yeah, being authentic, having authentic compliment, authentic like feedback is important. So the method I use is you give them a compliment, and then you basically set up your feedback. You kind of like frame it, and then you give it, and then you end something nicely. I found a way to do it. It's hard to kind of explain it.
Just give an example, maybe.
Give an example.
Yeah.
Zach Arnold.
Oh man, you're drumming. You're giving some stylistic feature. And honestly, with your stylistic ability to play many genres, you can definitely use that skill that you have and put it into volume. I noticed that Measure 47, your volume was way too loud. You were drowning some folks out. But next time you should definitely read the dynamics more and use your style as an edge, because again, you have a very beautiful style, and what you do on the ride cymbal for that one part was really good. And the thing you did on the hi-hat was also really awesome. So yeah, really good work. Really good work again.
Bang! Compliment sandwich, organic ingredients.
Perfect.
I mean, it sounds better if it's obviously if I knew.
It's a real example, yeah. But no, that's kind of still great. Yeah, I see exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
And again, going back to like honesty and confidence, it's really important because it's really important to believe in what you say. For example, like in elementary, or if I'm like teaching like grade 6 middle school band and they're playing like hot cross bars or whatever, and they're not, it's like sounding pretty rough. You have to find something in it that sounds good, but it's still like you have to remember they're 6th grade. So
Yeah.
even the fact that they're like showing up with an instrument in their hand is kind of miraculous. It's pretty cool. So, but you don't want to go that far. You don't want to dim that low. But like, guys, like,
I can really feel your passion. Something like that.
yeah. Oh, you know what? Like, here's the thing. To 6th graders, if you say something like that, like, oh yeah, I can hear the passion in your sound. And I can hear that some of you, I can hear that some of you are practicing and it's sounding really awesome. Okay. That's something that is true. And that's something I believe in, right? Again, keyword is some.
Uh-huh.
And you know what? They'll take it as, some probably means me. I practice. Some of them will take it like that. And then, it is what it is. Or you can, like in music, there's so much characteristics in music. You can talk about like rhythm, notes, timing. Being able to watch me as a conductor, that's a big deal in 6th grade. But anyway, there's so much things you can give compliments. I don't think when kids play, like, I don't think it's in that bad, but I also don't think it's that good. There's always something to work on, but it's never helpless. I've definitely heard some teachers, man, and this is kind of sad. I've heard some teachers describe their class as helpless. And I think there's a detriment in that. Like, that means you've checked out as a teacher. That means they're going to check out as students.
Yeah.
And that's something I don't believe.
For sure. That makes it a helpless situation. Believing it's helpless does make it helpless because you're not putting in the effort to meet the kids where they're at, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this confidence piece with the authenticity is big because something I see tons with people is, like, especially if they're not willing to accept a compliment or something like that, is that they want to seem polite, they want to seem nice, and they're too scared of feeling. It ties back to the fear of perception, right? They're scared of being perceived as a jerk, so they act polite and nice and inoffensive to everyone and everything they say. But in reality, they end up sanding down all of the edges that make them interesting and quirky and unique, right? An analogy I've heard recently is that, like, you don't want to smooth yourself out to the point of becoming a Teflon pan, right? Like a Teflon pan, nothing sticks to it, right? Because it's a non-stick surface, because it's so smooth. And if you sand down all of your edges and try to, like, conform to other people because you're afraid of how they'll perceive you, you're becoming a Teflon pan and no one's going to stick to you. No one's going to find anything interesting to grab onto because you've erased all of your quirks and everything that makes you special and unique.
Yeah. Hopefully this, I'm hoping this kind of ties in to something, but, I always tell kids, like, stay weird. Cause part of being weird also lets, like, it lets your ego like guard go down, and your confidence guard goes up, your confidence goes up. If you just stay weird. I always tell kids to stay weird and don't change. It's something I also believe in as an educator, because you also, like, once you're weird and someone gives you a compliment, you actually, like, take it very well. I've seen a lot.
Yeah, because it's true.
I've complimented a lot of weird people, and man, they're happy. They get giddy when they get a compliment. And it's not an ego thing too. It's just confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to see if this ties into my own social anxiety about like walking to a grocery store and, like, not wanting to see people I know, or not even wanting to, like, look at anybody. Like, I wish I could just go to a grocery store and just not be anyone there. Anyways, I want to see if you can try to make a connection.
Yeah. I think it ties back to probably the fear of being seen and being rejected in some manner. Like, the subtle, and it probably ties back to an experience you've had, if I were to guess. Like, there was probably a point at some point in time where you were weird, or you showed a piece of yourself authentically, and you were challenged for it, you were judged for it, or someone made you feel bad about that, and you learned to either run from the situation or hide that part of yourself?
In elementary school, I was a beatboxing kid. Okay. And I was coming from Vancouver to Surrey, and I was in 6th grade. And I was like the beatboxing kid. I was like, I don't know. I just think I was like a big fan of Eminem. So I would like know like a bunch of verses. And I went to this new school, the elementary school in Surrey, and a lot of kids were judging me. And I think it was probably because I looked kind of nerdy, and I was like the beatboxing kid, right? But like,
Yeah.
that shot me down a lot. And because of that, I stopped asking for help for teachers, because I keep thinking like, oh, well, if I'm getting judged, then like, I guess teachers are judging me too. So I stopped asking for help, and that got my grades down. That got my, like, I had to like, it was really bad. And even when teachers are like, yeah, you have to come in and like ask for help, like, I wouldn't, because I'm like, well, you're going to judge me. And then when I decided to go into music, like get really into it in grade 8, I started in grade 7, but got really into it in grade 8. And I started expressing myself through music. And then I got really into it grade 9 even more. Guess what happened to my grades? It went up, because I also started asking for help from teachers. That was a big thing. I remember asking a lot of help in grade 9. And I forgot my point, but can you help? Can you play like ChatGPT for a second and summarize what I just said?
Yeah, sure.
Like in a human, not.
Of course. So your fear of being perceived stemmed from being judged as the weird beatboxing kid.
Yeah, dude.
And in turn, that fear of judgment made you close off, and you stopped asking for help from teachers. You stopped reaching out to others. You stopped being as open and weird, I assume, because that was the way you didn't want to feel that judgment. You didn't want to feel that embarrassment of being the weird outcast. So closing off was your brain's way of learning, oh, this is how I survive if I don't want to feel that way.
Yeah.
And then once you found an outlet to express yourself and let parts of that authenticity shine through, then you started to open up a little bit more and start asking for help and start stepping into that weird beatboxing kid archetype again.
Yeah. Oh, I got back into it, man. And then and then my confidence was enough for me to do the unthinkable. That's something I never thought I would do. And it was one for valedictorian. And
Oh, sweet.
I didn't get valedictorian, but I got saluted for it, which was like the first runner-up valedictorian. And I gave another speech at like the kidder dance, like a dry grad dance thing.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was like preparing for my speech, I remember looking back and I'm like, oh man, like this weird beatboxing kid, dude. Like I've done far. And that's something that I think now, like, I think it's good to give feedback for ourselves. Again, push ourselves to want to be better. But it's also nice to just take a step back and look behind you and see how far you felt. And I'd like to think that I was a better person than who I was last week, or that I was 2 years ago, or etc. I think that's a big deal. I think that's a very big deal. That's the thing I also teach students, to be proud of how far you felt.
Absolutely.
It's a really big deal.
Yeah, gratitude is such a huge reframe on, like, even it's really hard, but being grateful for the hardships and the sufferings, like finding a way to be like, how did this failure or this mistake or this setback teach me something? How did it shape the person I am today? Because if I look back at all the hardest moments and all the like rough times from my past, all of them have led to an immense area of growth in my life in some capacity. Like my insecurity of feeling like the chubby weird kid who was out of shape and didn't feel comfortable in his body, that pushed me into the gym. Or the being the kid that was, had all these weird hobbies like filmmaking and making gaming YouTube videos in high school and working on like video editing and creative writing and like developing a whole note system to write essays about videos I was watching on YouTube. Like, what kind of 11-year-old does that, right? Who gets into like Obsidian personal knowledge management at 12? But looking back at that, I can see all of that has led to now. Like, that has tied into my newsletter, the podcast, content, all of those pieces, working on game design and game development. Like, everything in my past has led me to where I am now. So I wouldn't want to change any of it because this is where I am now and I like where I am now.
It's important to look back at the cringy phases we've had.
For sure.
I've definitely, oh man, like I could go on and all about it, but like I've had some cringy phases, and I have videos of me doing those too, because I have like unlisted YouTube videos of me doing.
Oh yeah.
And you probably do too, to some extent. It's important to watch it. Because you're realizing like, hey, that's me, but that's not me now.
Yeah.
I think that's so important. That's so cool. Very, very cool. Yeah. Yeah, dude.
Yeah. Cringe is an interesting word.
Cringe is an interesting word. I think people kind of use it wrong sometimes, but cringe is important. It's very important. Very, very important. Because I'm probably, what's going to be funny? Like, in maybe like 3 years from now, I'm going to think, like what I'm wearing, the fact that I'm wearing like this certain earring or the fact that I'm wearing flip flops, like with like
Pants, like I'm probably gonna think that's cringe in 3 years from now, or even 1 year from now, or maybe even like next week. I don't know, but I think it's important. I think because that ties into change.
Yeah.
Right, and that also ties into confidence and being like, hey, like I'm more confident now because I'm looking back at who I was before, and I'm like, oh yeah, like I'm way better than who I am now, dude. Yeah. Anyhow.
Yeah, for sure. And cringe can be interesting 'cause it could be a lot of the times when someone calls you cringe, especially like comment on the internet or something, basically the subtext of what they're saying is, oh, look at this guy, he's trying. But he's not there yet. But he's like, oh, he's starting out like, oh, he started making content and he sucks right now. It's like, yeah, I do suck right now. This is the beginning. Like, what's your point? But what, you're going to call me cringe for trying? What are you doing? You think someone who calls you cringe on the internet is actually doing anything meaningful with their life? Probably not. Every single hate comment I've gotten is like some sad person who spends all their time commenting on social media. So any insult I get is just like, dude, I feel so bad for you. Like, your life is so bad that you feel the need to tell me to shut up and get a job. Like, that's rough. And I hope you're doing good.
Well, it's also like the people that give really good feedback. Like have you ever gotten like really good feedback?
Oh yeah, for sure.
And like, you think to yourself, you don't like take it bad. You're like, oh man, this person knows what they're talking about.
Yeah, like you'll never get an insult from someone who's doing better at you than the thing you want to be doing. Like,
yeah, exactly.
And if you do, then you don't want to be like them anyways. Like, if there was a podcaster who commented on one of my videos maybe, and he's like, he's got a bigger following than me, and he's like, dude, this is stupid. What are you doing? Like, I would just be like, wow, I do not want to be like you when I get big.
Yeah, like that's like ties into ego, man. Ego. Confidence turning into ego, bro. Because that guy, whoever was commenting that, like this hypothetical dude, was probably where you are right now.
Exactly. And if he can't see that, then he's lost sight of his journey.
Yeah. And I think as an educator, seeing like sixth graders, like play the thing, because I was that grade played, and I wasn't great either. And I remember not being great. And I always make students know that, hey guys, like I was where you were. I was probably worse than how you were because I started 7th grade. I'm like, I know I've been through these struggles. I wasn't just born a good player. I tell kids that. And I'm like, so guys, that's why you have to listen to me because I know what I'm talking about. I have a degree to prove it. I tell them that all the time. That's where I'm like kind of playfully being egotistical, but like they take it pretty well. I'm like, yeah. I mean, you do have a degree. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, being cringe is important to let your authentic self shine through and to stay weird.
I feel like I'm being cringe right now to be on public. Someone's like, oh, there's 2 brothers doing a podcast stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm cool with that, I'm honestly.
But I think that's what true charisma is.
Yeah.
A recent lesson I had on magnetism is really thinking about like, okay, someone says, oh, that person's charismatic, they're magnetic. What does that actually mean? And the more I step into authenticity and just truly doing what I want to do and not worrying about what people think of me, the more I realize magnetism is the perfect word for it. Because if you are truly acting as your authentic self in alignment with what you want to do, and you're not lying to others, you're not lying to yourself,
Right.
you're living honestly and authentically, you will push people away. Like a magnet. You will repel some people away. People will hate you. People will call you a villain. People will take what you're saying in the worst way possible. But that's a good thing because those people are not aligned with you. And on the contrast flip side of it, other people will be sucked in. They will be attracted to you. And letting that magnetism attract who it's going to and repel who it's going to is exactly what you want. Because that's just kind of an automatic filter for the people you're going to want to interact with in life anyways. If you're your true authentic self and someone doesn't like it, why would you want to be around them anyways? Like a great quote that I heard around this is anyone you lose by being real is fake.
Yeah.
So if you're your authentic self and someone's repelled, you shouldn't worry about it. If someone's going to judge you for doing what you want to do, like if someone walks by and like thinks to themselves, wow, these fucking idiots, they're filming a podcast in the middle of a park.
Yeah.
I don't want to interact with that person. That doesn't sound like a nice...
That's true. That's
like,
true.
So screw them. Let them go on their way. Let them judge me.
Dude, hold on. I have to start that in because that's actually really...
Yeah. Anyone you lose by being real is fake.
That's... Oh, man. That needs to be on a bumper sticker. That needs to be on a poster, on a school.
Yeah, that's not my quote. I forgot who I got it from, but it's fantastic.
Yeah, like whoever made that quote, man, like put that on a school wall or something, dude. Like, it's true. It really is. And
Yeah.
And that kind of thing kills bad judgment. It kills it. And I love it. And I love it. I love it. I love it. That's sick, dude. That's sick.
Yeah. I mean, my own personal piece of that I wrote in a newsletter recently that had just come to me because this ties more into like living authentically and living aligned and confronting like your own inner challenges and insecurities. The quote and this is like my own wording as far as I'm aware, maybe there's a similar idea somewhere out there, probably in philosophy or something. And the quote is, a man who has conquered himself has no enemies.
Man who has conquered himself has no enemies.
Or, it applies to anyone. A person who's conquered themselves has no enemies. Like, if you have looked deep enough within and you know yourself to a true, honest degree, no one can use anything against you. Because if they're like, oh, remember when you were that weird insecure kid? And you're like, yep, that's part of me. Or like, oh, why are you doing this thing? Like, oh, they point out some weakness in you. They try to insult you in some way. Like, oh, why are you talking about this when you have no expertise in that, whatever, or whatever it is. You're like, yeah, I was a little pushing my expertise, like the boundary of my expertise in that topic maybe, or yeah, maybe I didn't know enough about that when I was talking about it, but like, it's part of the process of learning.
Again, I think it's important to think a few things. One, I have a mantra, right? And I want to thank Zach for helping me develop this mantra a long time ago. And the mantra is, I'm doing the best I can right now. And I think that's a big thing. And the second thing is, I'm better than who I was like an X amount of weeks, months ago, years ago. And that's important. Again, both of those things are important. That
Definitely
helps you kind of affirm yourself that like, hey, I think I'm doing well right now.
Yeah, I'm on the path towards where I want to go.
I think we should close it. I think I want to end with two quotes, maybe 2 or 3. We'll see. For me, and you can end off with something too, but for me,
Yeah, sure.
the biggest thing that I take away in life, and again, thanks to Aaron Kruger, you're going to fail spectacularly. And I think that helps build confidence because a lot of people fail with no confidence. I think failing with confidence, that sounds kind of like almost an oxymoron, but just imagine that for a second, failing with confidence.
Yeah, just being fully willing to fail, fall on your face and get back up anyways.
Yeah, like babies, when they're learning how to walk, they fail with confidence, man. But for some reason, we lose that. We lose that, and
yeah,
babies were learning how to walk. Guess what? Now we're walking with no problem now. But it takes failing with confidence and then turning that failing into learning. The second thing I want to mention is, especially to students, like stay weird, man. But you gotta stay weird. Don't change. Okay. As long as you're being a good person and you're
Living
not
truthfully.
breaking, like weird laws or whatever, stay weird.
Yeah. Be honest. Let your magnetism repel and attract who it's going to.
Yeah, and then cut the people off that don't care for you because they're not worth it.
Yeah. If someone drains you, like if a great litmus test for this is like tapping into your sense of energy. Like when you're with someone, do you feel elevated and excited and like, I could talk to this guy for hours. I want to go like do this thing and this thing. Like I could just keep connecting and being with this dude. Or do you feel kind of drained and you're like, oh dude, like I need a rest and I just want to go like lay on the couch. And like tapping into like how people make you feel, I think that's very important because the feelings will tell you something. If you think, oh yeah, this guy's cool, but you feel drained by their presence, you should listen to that.
Rock on. When is this coming out?
Probably next week.
Next week? Okay, can I shout myself out?
Sure.
Nothing I can do on this channel. I don't know.
Yeah, of course you can.
Again, it's your boy, Marc Micu. That's M-A-R-C. Am I spelling my name right? M-A-R-C-M-I-C-U. If you want, you can follow me on Instagram. That's M-A-R-C-M-Y-T.
Yeah, I'll have it linked in the description.
Yeah, I'll be down somewhere.
Wherever it is.
And if you like jazz, I play a lot. So I always put out updates. I'm actually opening for Grammy and Juno award winning, I don't know if Juno, but definitely Grammy award winning Coco Roco at the Royal Theater here in Victoria, British Columbia.
Awesome.
That's going to be fun. And I want to thank Zach for having me on this beautiful day.
Thanks for coming out. This has been great.
In front of these people that, I don't know, could be judging me. I don't care. I don't care about you. I don't care about any of you. I really don't.
Thanks for coming on, dude.
Yeah, thanks, man.
It's been a pleasure.
Appreciate it.